Donald Abbott.
Here.
Miguel Martinez.
Here.
Clara Andriola. Absent. Naomi Doer.
Here.
Ed Lawson.
Here.
Alexis Hill.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Walls, I think you got something for us?
Yes. Those who wish to make public comment do so by calling 1-253-215-8782 and using access code 861-1853-2620. If you are unable to access the meeting with that number, please call Michael Wolz at 775-813-1662. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. And then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll let Mr. Lawson, since he was so adamant, get up there quickly.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. And there's no comma.
There's still no comma.
We'll go to item B, public comment. Ms. Henderson.
I do have one public comment.
Perfect.
Joe Coutrier.
I think the mic's on, so you're good to go.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm just really here for a personal reason. I'm retiring from the city of Reno. I've been with the city 18 years. I'm just here really to say thank you. I've had a wonderful time at the city, but a wonderful time also working with board, club project, board, Michael, and staff. Now, really, just excited for this project. Seems a lot more to come, and really just here to say thank you and farewell, and look forward to seeing everyone around. I'll be working in consulting, it's my plan, but this is my last day with the city, and I want to say farewell. Thank you very much. You're here and great.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally comment, but since this is Joe's last day and I'm not in town, I just wanted to say thanks, Joe. I've had the privilege of working with you directly for the last 10 years on so many issues. I can't believe you're retiring and we still have one thing undone, Double Diamond, that you and I have been working on together for 10 years. But thank you so much for your work for the city. 18 years is really phenomenal. You've been a stalwart member of our both water quality and water quantity team. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Councilmember. I really appreciate that. We've got great folks that are going to continue on the work.
Awesome.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for spending your last day with us. We appreciate it. No other public comment? Anyone didn't fill out a card?
No
Cool.
other comment.
Perfect. We'll go to item C, approval of the agenda for July 11th, 2025 Board of Directors meetings. Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Martinez, a second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item D, announcements and clippings. Mr. Robeson.
Thank you. I want to start off by introducing our new hire from a couple of months back now. Matt, why don't you stand up? So with Joe leaving out of the community, Matt's coming into our community, and already we're making an impact. We are really working to improve and upgrade and fix our monitoring network. And recently, after what I saw in Texas and what we saw with flood awareness or lack thereof, we are really redoubling our efforts with flood awareness. I've been working with the videographer, and we have some some fast-hitting videos now, and and they're all of the theme "Know the Flow," because you've got to know where you're at. You got to know what you're standing on in a flood, and a lot of those people didn't know that. Some of those people got alarms on their cell phones and just rolled over and went back to sleep because, oh, that's not me. But we need to be aware of where we sit in a flood and what the flood can do. So we're going to redouble those efforts, and part of that is to have really good monitoring for our first responders and for when events occur. And Matt is going to be integral with that, and he's going to be also very helpful with us with working our imagery that we're getting from all this modeling we've been doing and all the monitoring that we have. to make it more available, because he is very good at GIS and he has working with those tools. So we're really excited to have him, and just wanted to introduce him to you guys, that he is already working with us. We had a great meeting recently with the Weather Service and the Water Master and the Flood Center in Sacramento about our monitoring network and how we can work together to improve that network and make it better. So anyways, with that, that's my first announcement, and
George,
just
before
really
you go on,
excited.
what was Matt's full name?
Matt Wieland.
Wieland. All right, thank you.
Yeah, myself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Matt. And could we get a little background of where Matt?
Absolutely. I'll just do it real quick. Matt has worked a lot in Montana and Idaho. He has a degree, actually. I mean, you can talk about what the degree actually says, but it really is a degree in snow. Is that fair? You have a degree in snow. And what that means is he's an expert on snow accumulation, avalanches, rain on snow, things like that. And so because of that, he's really well versed in monitoring equipment and also on dispersing and looking at things like snow pattern on GIS. So he's got a degree from Montana State. He's worked with the Avalanche Center up there. And he's also worked on, we have a Bobcat or whatever over there?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, but he's, I have some relatives that are Bobcats. They have a very interesting song about the Grizzlies, but I won't say that song because I'll get in trouble. But anyways, getting back to that, his background also, he has a background in stream restoration. When I checked his references, some of the people I called up, and it's like, oh, he's great. He really understands the stream and how it works and all that, because in the summers he would work on stream restoration projects. So he has a great background for our agency, and I feel like a general manager of a pro football team that, you know, in the 6th round I got a first round grade guy or something, right? So I'm really thrilled for him and really happy to see what his future will be.
Is there anything you want to add, Matt?
I'll just say,
Okay.
glad to be here finally in person.
Yeah. Welcome to the team.
So my second announcement I teased already, and that is the Know the Flow. So what we're planning on doing, we have drafts. I'm not going to show them to you because there are drafts of videos right now. We need to do some voiceover and a little bit of editing. But once those come out, we're going to create an event area in our website called Know the Flow and try to piece together all our flood warning stuff together in one place, along with those videos. And when Marty gets back, and she's on vacation right now, we will put a lot of this on social media and really try to have a strong effort this fall to get at flood awareness in late summer, because it was just a revelation or startling to me what happened in Texas. It really, the lack of things, the little things that could have been done that could have saved so many lives weren't done. And we just don't want to leave something like that undone here. And so awareness is very important. Even though these floods here are not as dangerous as those floods, they're not as fast moving, but they still can do tremendous damage. And some of that's avoidable, and we want to make sure we do the avoidable part. Another quick announcement is, and I'll talk about this some more when we do our presentation on Rock McCarran, there will be a working group meeting with a focus on recreation on the 30th of this month. And our consultant has made a lot of progress, and we are also working with stakeholders. We've already had one stakeholder meeting, with the city of Reno. We plan to have another and a TAC meeting before the other meeting. And then after that, I think that we can give you a real good look at what the two options are and what they look like. And, you know, of course, there'll be variations of the options. But a more park, a regional park option along with a more nature park option is what we're developing, so that you can see the differences in cost, differences in output, differences in amenities and things like that. Finally, we are also going to, we are starting construction on Wadsworth. It won't be done until next year, but they're already out there doing survey. They've already ordered the bridge to be manufactured. So we're moving ahead on that pretty quickly. And before they get out there and do a bunch of work on it, I wanted to have a groundbreaking. So we'll talk about that during Wadsworth, but I would maybe even as soon as our next meeting, have a groundbreaking out there for Wadsworth, because we're moving ahead with that. Everything's moving full steam ahead. So I'd like to probably get out there and do that so that we have awareness of what's going on. The community out there is aware of what's going on as well. So that's my announcements.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments, Mr. Robeson? Ms. Stewart, if you have anything, can't see
Yeah.
it.
Thank you. I just had a question, George, on stakeholders. Did you mean, who is the stakeholders? Is that the general public?
The stakeholders I would consider more like our key stakeholders, like City of Reno, City of Sparks, county, other entities like the tribes, et cetera.
Okay.
When I say the general public, the working group is for the general public and will be advertised as such.
Okay, so just, I mean, and maybe you'll cover this more later, but since you brought it up now, I just wasn't sure. So you said there was a meeting on July 30 for the working group. And then you said you're going to have a TAC meeting, I think, before that. And then the stakeholders, I wasn't sure, is that all of them together? Are they different than the TAC? Or
We have, most of our stakeholders are on the TAC. So when
Yeah.
we have a TAC meeting, it is our stakeholders.
Oh, okay. So then what about the general public? Are they supposed to come to the working group, or is there are we planning another meeting for the general public? Like
The
you had
working
one-
group is the public meeting. It is for the public. It will be
Okay.
advertised for the public. We
Okay.
will probably, hopefully, we'll even have hits on the news program saying, hey, we're going to have a working group meeting. Our last working group, actually, one of the news organizations, I think it was Channel 2, actually had a bit on it before the meeting. So
Good.
we would hope to get one or two of them to do that again.
But just to be clear, you had a different meeting at McKinley that I guess you called the general public. So are you planning another one of those then?
For the 30%, we are planning those a little later, but not
Ah.
this month.
Okay. And then one more question, Mr. Chair, if I may, different
go for it.
topic. I know you always want to update us on Verdi, and excuse me, not Verdi, on the Vista Narrows. And I didn't know if you had an update on how that permitting's going.
Yeah, I forgot. I actually had that on my list here. I said so much, I forgot. Vista Narrows right now, we just re-put in our application again. They asked for a bunch of different things, and for the first time, we gave them the environmental assessment. That's something that the Corps is supposed to do, but we stepped up and did it because they're just being slow. And so hopefully this will be kind of the final shot that they can really take a look at it and give us a thumbs up or thumbs down or sideways thumb or something, because this has been going on for years. Honestly, they have not taken us seriously until we deauthorized on January 4th, and we had that tribal agreement. So, you know, they really are new in the process, even though it's been going on for years. They just really were kind of ignoring us for quite some time.
There aren't timeframes for them to evaluate our permit application, I guess.
They are supposed to be able to do those in 18 months. We are already over 4 years. So, you know, my position is if they don't do something, we'll have to like put some pressure on them to do something, because it's inappropriate to hold up things and not have the sense of urgency that the local community has.
Okay, I guess the last question on that, then, you said we did an environmental assessment. Will they be able to accept that, or do they have to conduct one?
They will take our environmental assessment, add to it, and make it their own, and it will
I
be
see.
their environment. But we did
Like a
a
draft?
ton of the work on it. Danielle and our consultant are the ones that did that, and even I actually contributed on it. So there's been a lot of our team working on it, because, you know, if we sit around and wait for them, I mean, you know,
Sure.
we're trying to speed this up as much as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Hill. Mm-hmm.
So to follow up, when are we going to decide we need to put pressure on them? Does our lobbyist have thoughts on this? And I know that we were waiting on deauthorization, but when we had that Zoom with them, they sounded like it was more like the tribal letter that was a bigger issue, and that they can authorize other separate projects from that. So I don't know why that would be the holdup for January. But anyway, I guess, like, does the timeline start from January? What is their?
No, their timeline starts from when we first put this in. They're way overdue. And, you know, honestly, but until we had the tribe stuff, we would have never survived Section 7. So I wasn't pushing it until we had the tribal. But once we had that and the deauthorization, it's pedal to the metal now. And so we just gave them the EA. We'll give them a month or so to look over the EA and start giving us some feedback. If they don't, then we start going to Amaday and others and start going, okay, to the ASA, to others in the agency higher up, and going, why is this taking so long?
So August, we'll have those discussions. I just want to.
Yeah, by our next meeting, I will probably already, if they have not really made progress, I will already been putting pressure on them. You know, not the one where we're out there doing the, you know, the groundbreaking, but I mean our next real meeting where we're sitting here like this again. We will
August
probably
8th.
August 8th, we're doing a groundbreaking, hopefully, and then
Right.
in September, October, one of those meetings is where we should have already been putting pressure on them.
Can you just keep us apprised just via email?
Yeah, I'll let you know if we take some action with that with our delegation. I am going to a meeting in about a week and a half, and last time I actually talked to the head of permitting of the Corps, or the permitting coordinator, the entire Corps. I expect her to be there again, so I will be pressuring them even there, you know. And I heard that the interim ASA, who's in charge of the entire Civil Corps, Civil Army output, will be there, so I can talk to them as well. So that meeting's very useful for me, and it helps me to, you know, kind of get in front of them and say, hey, what are you doing?
And that's in July?
That's in July, yeah.
So just, I guess, keep us informed via email.
Okay,
That
I
would
will.
be helpful.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Ms. Stewart.
Yeah, I think it would be useful. I don't know where this meeting is, if it's in Sacramento, but I recall in the past when we met with the Assistant Secretary of the Army that perhaps our leadership of the board should attend. You know-
Well, the ASA is going to be at a what's called a NAFSMA meeting in Chicago.
Oh,
And so I don't have a formal meeting with him at this time, and he is interim. But you know, if it picks up from there and we don't get any traction, we might want to meet with the district general, or, you know, get beyond the district. I mean, the regional general, not just the colonel at the district, or meet with the CW, which is the lead civil person, or the ASA. So we'll just have to see how this goes. I'm very hopeful that they'll actually just really bear down on this and make a determination. Because we had a long discussion about what they needed And we put that in the EA, we put that in our materials. So if that's what they really needed, they should be able to say, yeah, we're good with this, we're gonna approve it, we just gotta do this step, and this step. That's where I want to get to, so we can start moving ahead with the final design on Vista.
Awesome. Anyone else? Perfect. Thank you, George. Appreciate the updates. We'll go to consent items. Looking for a motion for consent items 2A to 2E.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by Mr. Martinez. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 3, discussion and possible action to adopt a proposed TURFMA Resolution 2025-17, which approves an interlocal funding agreement with the City of Reno and the Carson-Truckee Water Conservancy District for the design and construction of the Riverside Drive Berm project. Pursuant to the agreement, TURFMA will provide no less than $1,947,600 for the Riverside Berm project. The purpose of which is to repair and improve flood control berms along Riverside Drive in Reno, Nevada, from Arlington Avenue to the Booth Street Bridge. Possible action to approve Resolution 2025-17 and the interlocal funding agreement between the Truckee River Flood Management Authority, the City of Reno, and the CTWCD for the design and construction on the Riverside Drive Berm project as presented or with changes, or to give direction to staff. Mr. Robeson and Mr. Walls.
Okay, well, congratulations to Mike. That was the all-time longest title.
I had Pops read over my back too. I was like, oh.
I was translating the big words for him.
Yeah.
And you have illustrations next.
Yeah, next time, please. Picture book.
So this has,
Vote on it.
this is a significant step in a long-standing issue that dates all the way back to almost the inception of our agency as TURFMA. And so in 2000, well, earlier on, we had a large design that was that would have tore up the street and redirected traffic on Riverside and everything else. And around 2000, I looked that over, and because of the loss of trees and a lot of other things, and just listening to people in the community and the people in there, including, I know, Naomi, that's your ward now, but it used to be somebody else's ward. I talked to the council person in that ward, and just, it didn't sound like a good idea to move ahead with a large project like that. So I started looking at tweaking it, making it smaller, and we funded some studies about the bridge and about just how high it would have to be. And all along, the Corps of Engineers has been, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but the Corps of Engineers through the CWSCD has been pressuring Reno to do something about that up to 14,000 for several years now, and has threatened legal action and things like that. So we wanted to assist and make sure that it was up to at least the 14,000. But do it in such a way that we didn't damage the trail or the character of the community there, because it's a highly valued and utilized area. So with that, we worked with them, found out exactly how high that river had to be with the new modeling we had. And then CWSCD has carried on with design work and got some estimates on how much it would cost and how we could do it, and got it done as a part of it done as a maintenance activity, so we can do it quicker without all the permitting. And then the other part would require permitting, so that's why there's 2 of these, not just one. You're gonna have to read another one of these titles like this. But anyways, this one is for the berm, and something that we want to get at soon. Our part of this is we have helped with the earlier studies, and we are going to help with funding the actual construction work. Reno will take on the brunt of the construction management, is the understanding if you read through this. And with that, you know what the amount is. That is it will probably go higher than that. I'm not, but we do have language in there that if it does go higher, it needs to be, part of the scope and things like that. It can't just be I wanted, I wanted like I don't know, some sort of amenity that isn't anything part of the design. So with that, I think that's all I really have to say, and I can open it up for questions.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Robeson?
Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Chair.
Go for it, Ms. Dewar.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for working on this so assiduously, George. We really appreciate getting to this point. Just a quick question. I know you have the two different items, and together they add up to like, what, 3.6 or so? But they're styled as no less than versus a max. So you're saying that's a minimum amount that it'll cost?
Go ahead, Mike.
The agreement includes a provision that allows the executive director to authorize additional funding to
Okay.
the extent that those additional funds are necessary to complete the project according to the design plans as they stand right now. So that was part of the concern, just especially I think with the upcoming agenda item, is there's a period of time and that the costs fluctuate somewhat, and instead of coming back to all three entities to amend all of these documents, that there's some leeway for the executive director to deal with that. However, I think if there were significant design changes or significant costs, et cetera, you would probably see the agreements back. That's why it was written that way.
Okay. But when it says no less than, you're assuming it's going to be at least 3 point, what is it? 3.6 million?
Yeah, it's highly unlikely that the costs are going to come down. I mean, it's possible, and
Okay,
well,
that's all. I just
we
wanted to
can
make
work
sure.
through that, I guess. I mean,
I
I think we'll all
understood.
be rather happy about that, you know. But yeah, but I
Well,
think
we
it's going to be
recently-
higher.
We recently bid a project in Reno and it came out 50% more than expected. And so I just, I just wanted to understand the no less than, and then what your provision was for going forward in case it is significantly more. This was just a really simple project of fencing, and it came in much higher. And I don't know if it's the tariffs going into effect or, with the metal, the steel, the availability of concrete, that kind of stuff. But anyway, just a heads up, and thank you for working on this.
Awesome. Yeah, Mr. Martinez, sorry.
No worries. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, my question, I know we have those two items, and I was just curious if you can go through sort of some of the design plans that are already approved. I don't know if I need a detailed analysis of what's included, but if you can just sort of give us an overview on this item, what's included in that.
Okay, on this item, I mean, I don't have visuals as part of this item because we've done this before. However, I can get any of that to you. We even have, we do have designs. Yeah, they're in the actual
In the
attachment.
binder?
Yeah,
Beginning on page 115.
yeah, let's,
I was on 80.
Thank you for asking, because some of the, I need to talk.
okay, so this is actual design documents. So this is more for like somebody actually going to bid on this kind of thing. So it may not be the most visually pleasing way of showing this stuff. Let's go ahead and pull ahead a little bit. That's the cover. Okay, let's see if I can get something. A cross section might be the best way to show this. Okay, so the top, yeah, there we go. So if you look at that bottom cross section, right there, yeah. Right now, the ground level is about a foot or to 2 feet too low in places. Not everywhere, but in certain places. So the idea is to rework the berm that's already there. And there is a flood wall that doesn't really need to be reworked at all. It's high enough. But there is a berm along there it's about, I'd say, 600 feet upstream of Arlington, all the way up to Booth. And along that area where it's just berm is to take the trail off, take the top off, build that up a bit, and then put a new trail down and doing it in such a way, and there is a lot of detailing in this, to dodge trees and mitigate things about trees so that we're not chopping down trees. We're trying to work the trail into the existing environment as best we can. And it's raised anywhere from a foot to 3 feet. Is that a fair statement? Yeah, but it does vary in some places. There are low points. And so that's the idea there. So you're just moving some dirt around and building up the berm for this one. For the other one, that's an actual flood wall. So we'll save that for the next presentation.
I'll have the same question.
Okay.
If you can just be prepared for that.
Yeah, that one we can, that one I'll have to go in a little more detail
Okay.
for you. Okay, is that enough, or do you want some more on that? It is actually fairly simple in essence, except for that we have to wind that trail around and do things to mitigate so we don't lose trees.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments on 3?
I have a quick question.
Go for it, Ms. Dewar.
So George, how will you put like a wall section in front of the trees, or how do you, since the trees are here and maybe the berm is here, how does that work?
I would prefer to let the designer talk about that if possible, or maybe, yeah, because we did not do the actual design. We didn't fund that, so.
Thank you, Carrie Koski, City of Reno, city engineer. So the design around the trees is basically, we're going to put tree wells. We'll put some sort of a keystone little wall or something around the trees to
Okay.
protect those trees.
I see.
Does that answer your question? We're not going
It
to.
does, so I can visualize this
Yes.
where you have like a berm, a higher thing, but you have the tree, so you have a carve out with like a well, with
Yes,
a wall. or
like a
something.
tree well, exactly. And we're
Gotcha.
working diligently with our urban forester, Councilwoman, to do that. A couple of other things that we're doing is we'll have to make the transitions to all of the ADA ramps. That's part of this. And then we're doing some bank stabilization, because that is also included in, that'll also help protect the 4,000 or 14,000 CFS.
Is
help?
that riprap or is that something else? Is
Yeah,
that
it'll be a
rock?
rock type stabilization, yes.
All right, thanks.
And it's high up away from the water, so it doesn't trigger
Correct.
a permitting situation.
Thank you, George, good point.
Awesome. Any other questions? Comments? Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Gary. I know it's a public or for possible action, so I need to ask for public comment. Do we have any?
We do not, sir.
Perfect. Then I am looking for a motion for item 3.
Well, I'm happy to make a motion to move forward with item 3.
Sounds good. Motion by Ms. Dewar, second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 4.
Good luck.
Mr.
Mr. Chair, as much as I like hearing my writing read out loud,
Yes.
you do not have to read the entire title.
Perfect. What do you
It's a small novel.
do? You
You can just open item 4 for the approval of the Riverside flood wall.
Can we do that for all items?
There's no requirement to read them out loud as far as I'm aware. I've never seen
Sounds
anything
good.
that
I
says
just
that.
As long as we know where you're at.
Yeah, as long as we know that you've opened which item it is and that you've opened it.
I just have always read it, so that's good to know. We're just gonna open item 4, if that's okay with y'all. So Mr. Robeson and Mr. Walls.
Okay, so this one is really part of the same project, but it's upstream of Booth Street Bridge. And I'm going to anticipate your question and do a little bit more on the design, Miguel. But the same sort of story, but in this case, that wall is more significant because the level of breach in that area and breakout comes at a lower flow, and it takes more to get there. So the page numbers where those design drawings are,
145.
it's 145. It's the one for the wall, Commissioner Hill. Let's see here. So we can go to 145. The difference here is this is going to be a significant significant project, it gets lower you have to get low by the river, so it does require permitting. So if you can look at page, where are we here? This is page 146. There's a map. Okay, yeah, and so if you look up on it's the upper right side, you can see that there is two bridges, one's Keystone, and then one is Booth. So the wall there is just upstream of the Booth Street Bridge.
It's actually the lower left.
Oh, you got a different map, I'm sorry. No, I see my
I thought
map.
yours turned the other way.
Oh, mine's turned. Gosh, okay. Okay, all right, yeah, it's lower left, and so if you look at it, it's about 200 to 300 feet up. You can see the vacant lot there, that's upstream, vacant lot upstream of the bridge. Yeah, in that area right there is where the wall will be. In fact, it's right on the edge of that vacant lot. So we have been working with the developer that had bought that vacant lot to work with them on making sure we're fitting everything in there right and not messing up their design, and they're not messing up our design. So we've been doing that over time. And of course, the new design work with the Conservation District is likely also doing that. But the key there is that it would be a wall. So if we go in a little bit more, do we not have? Okay, it looks like. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one. Yeah, let's go to the page number that would be one. Well, it's called C501 at the bottom.
Yeah. 149, I think. 149.
Page 149. It's a really good schematic that shows you. So you can see.
They're just hard to see.
Yeah, so this is a typical flood wall, and there will probably be sections of this that do not have an extension, which is A1. So you look at this and you have a base of the flood wall, and it has to go into the ground and be really sturdy because of the pressure that the water puts against the flood wall. But some of them will actually have to have a footing extension, which, and I don't know the exact dimensions of that yet. I'm not sure everybody has that yet. But that one is a little more intricate. So that's what the flood wall looks like in cross section. So when you're looking at that, you'll see about 150 to 200 feet of that flood wall that will be in there, that will be constructed. And once again, that needs a permit because a great amount of the breakout, most of the water that's going through that neighborhood is because of that breakout area right where that flood wall will be. So I don't, that just gives you some idea of what it would look like in cross section. Any questions about that? The background is identical to the other one, like how it worked and when it happened and everything else. It's just this one requires a flood wall.
What's the height on that?
Okay.
Yeah, right. One more slide up. Right there. This is Shane Dyer for the record. Right there, you can zoom in on the middle, like you can see that's the wall right there. So if you zoom in right on the lower section, yeah, that thing. See the ground is the dash line. You can see the water, blue line, like
The high water, that's like
that's the wall right there.
yeah.
The shaded part is the wall, starting to finish.
Could the speaker come to the mic?
Kind of point. So that the shaded part is the wall itself. You can see the ground is the dashed line where it gets really deep for just a short period, kind of on the right side of the shaded. The water gets almost, I think it's like 5 foot at the
Yeah, right
tallest
there.
point.
That's
Right
where the
there. That's where the
breakout
wall's
is.
the tallest at a 5 foot. And then you can see where the water line is during the storm, you know, and where that water is really going through right there. If this makes sense to everybody. So it's a variable height on the wall. The highest point is probably about 4 to 5 feet.
And is that from the ground or from the river bed or?
From the ground, from the existing ground, it would probably stick up about 5 feet for that short section where there's a dip in the existing ground. The majority of it is less than 2 feet, I would say, or 2 to 3 feet.
And is that right in front of that vacant lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out that the vacant lot, as I recall, it really flooded. And that's why there is no building there, and it was demoed and it was taken over by the city. And the city is the one that did the deal with the new buyer. And one of the requirements we had was that they have parking on the bottom, as I recall, so that it was more prepared to flood. You know, that we didn't have a wall at this time. And I don't know when the building's going to be built relative to when the wall will be built, but I understand why that would be such a taller wall right there.
Yeah, and remember, with a larger flood, like a 100-year flood, it will go over that wall, and so they'll still need that parking.
Right.
So it can be flooded, because otherwise you're damaging, you know, a home or something like that. So,
Great point, George. I mean, it's going to be an apartment complex. And so that's my understanding of the design, but we haven't seen the final design because that doesn't come to council. It just goes for a building permit, my understanding at this point. I think they've come to council for everything they need to, but those points were made. It's something we need to check into to make sure they're continuing to follow through. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments from anybody? We are looking, any public comment?
No public comments.
Thank you very much. Looking for a motion for item 4.
Well, I can make a motion again if others don't want to, or I will. I'll make a motion to approve item 4.
Sounds good, Ms. Stewart. Motion by Ms.
Second.
and a second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, please vote. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Awesome. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 5. We're just going to open item 5. I like this new way of doing this.
Well, it is good to say what the general topic is.
It's discussion and possible action to approve an amendment to the Truckee River Flood Protection Financial Assistance Program Grant Committee and agreement for the home at 6225 Pebble Beach Drive, Reno, Nevada, that increases the amount of the grant from $270,000 to $337,240.15, with possible action to approve the proposed amendment to the grant commitment and agreement with or without changes, or to provide directions to staff. Mr. Robeson.
okay, so this one, this is our longstanding home elevation program. It was established, as you can see, back in 2009. 2006 was when it was first even thought of. So it's been around a long time. And more recently, since around 2015, we've been trying to work with FEMA and get FEMA grants. And more recently than that, around 2018, it was told to us that if you don't have a FEMA grant, you have to pay taxes on any of the money or any of the value that you receive from the elevation. So if somebody has their home elevated, you know, and it costs $200,000, then they'd have to pay taxes as if that's income. So, you know, you can do the math, but it's tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. So it's very advantageous to have a FEMA grant. Out of the 4 that have actually been lifted, 3 have had FEMA grants. This particular one has a FEMA grant, and it's a very unique FEMA grant because it was associated with COVID and it was for 90%. So they will work up to 227,000 because when they were doing the grant, the wild construction inflation had not occurred yet, but they will do 90% of that 227, which is a little over $204,000 that they will pay on this lift. We actually, from 2022, estimated this house would cost somewhere around $270,000. They put it out for bid after we approved this in September, and they only had one constructor interested, which is not surprising. There's only one lifter that even does this in the area, even though we've tried to bring people in from Sacramento. And because of all this, you know, the one bidder is saying this is going to cost $337 and change, which is a roughly very close to 25% increase over 3 years. That is 8% inflation over 3 years. That seems high to me. However, FEMA will be covering 204,000 of it, and our outlay is actually less than some of the recent homes that we did. So there's two sides to the story. It seems awfully expensive. However, the grant is covering a lot of this, and our actual outlay is not that much. Compared to our recent outlays, it's actually less. So that's kind of the two sides of this. We're putting it before you. They will not do it for anything less than this. So it's either we'll do this or not do this. And our outlay would be, I think I said it in the staff report, is on the order of 130,000 and change. So that is, you know, that is kind of the gist of this.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Robeson. Do we have any questions, comments on that?
I do.
Ms. Dewar, go for it.
Yeah. Thank you. So George, first of all, I'm really happy that you're continuing to work on this program and that there are people that are interested in elevating their homes. You know, one of the things that we saw that happened in Texas is they said that a lot of the property was built on incredibly low-lying areas. And sadly, when these homes were built, you know, the math was all wrong in terms of the elevations, the topography, understanding of how high it flooded. So they're in a tough situation. I just had a couple questions. Is this an unusual home in terms of, is it just a wooden structure? Is it brick? What's its setup there?
It is a pretty typical home. It is pretty much a wood home. And it would be lifted with just the very basic method of using cinder block to lift it up. And it would probably, the lift would be around 8 feet. So it's a pretty simple home. Yeah, it's not a hard one. Yeah.
8 feet.
Yeah.
That means that the 100-year is something like 8 feet. Maybe 7.5.
Well, it has freeboard, so it's probably about 3 to 4 feet deep on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, and then you said our outlay was 132.
Yeah,
But I was a little confused because I thought you said FEMA was paying 90%.
90% of 227,000, because their estimate when this grant was granted originally, this was during COVID. And their estimates were much lower because that was before all this construction inflation happened in 2021 and 22 and 23.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so much lower.
It was a different percentage of the increment then, is that it?
Yeah, it's 90% of 227, so 204,000. I think I gave the exact amount here. 204,300 is what FEMA would provide.
Yeah. Okay.
And that gives
anyway,
us.
I'm supportive. Yeah. One of the reasons I'm supportive is there's 2 reasons at least. I mean, there's 3 reasons really, but I mean, one is just it's the right thing to do. But number 2 is that it provides a practical experience for others to see why it's so important to not be sitting on the floodplain and why it's important to be above the floodplain. And the more of these we do, the more accepted it becomes. And also builders also need to take this into consideration going forward for new homes, obviously, or anything new being built in a floodplain like this. You know, needs to follow the latest data and elevate to the point they need to, the point we were just making on that previous apartment complex, where the housing will be a 10-foot above the ground if they have underground parking. In other words, parking on the first floor. So anyway, I think it's good for the residents, but I think it's very important for our community. And it is a showcase of what we're doing to help people. And it is an educational thing in that people need to understand that it's not safe to live on the ground of something that's below the 100-year. So to your point earlier about Texas and where people were living in very dangerous areas, this is an incredibly dangerous area. So thank you. I'm really glad we're moving forward and I'm supportive.
Awesome. Thanks, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I seem to remember this was one of our last homes that we were doing.
Yeah, the problem is this was mothballed in 2019 for new applicants.
Right.
So there are no new applicants. And then on top of that, the FEMA programs, if the recent politics and everything, those are these kind of grant programs are going to be very scarce over the next several years. So it may be the last one we'll see for a while. And the final thing too is, and this is kind of actually a good news, is FEMA in probably the last year or two, they decoupled inland flooding from coastal flooding, and the flood insurance rates for inland situations went down. So a lot of the impetus for people, oh, I need to get my house raised because my insurance is going crazy, is been diminished. So a lot of their emphasis for that is gone. So there is less interest in this right now. But this is, it could be the last one for a while.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments on it? On item 5? I don't see any. Looking for a motion. Oh, no, public comment. Sorry.
Yeah. Just Mr. Chair, just a really quick comment on what Mr.
You go for it, Ms. Stewart.
What Mr. Robeson just said. As I recall, because of the deadline, while people can't apply, at least 30 people did apply, as I recall. I could have the number wrong, but some number of people put their name in. And my understanding was as long as they had their name in before the deadline, they could be considered. Is that correct, Mr. Robeson?
This
were
is,
like grandfathered in?
General Counsel Michael Wolz. That's correct. We do have a list of people who paid their deposit and applied. I don't believe we've had anyone in some time, other than the Bronze, who have expressed any interest in moving forward with that.
Right.
So we can't take any new applicants, but you're correct. There is a list of existing applicants that
Okay.
theoretically could move forward if they so wished.
Okay. Just wanted to check. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Stewart. We asked for public comment. There was none, so I'm looking for a motion for item 5.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Martinez. Looking for a second.
Yep.
Second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 6, presentation discussion of the status of the Wadsworth pedestrian bridge.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We well, I think you also have to go at 10:30.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we have enough time for that item. For me, the Rock and McCarran item, especially since we have the public here, we move that up, or is the bridge item relatively quick?
The bridge item is very
Okay.
quick.
You're
Thank
good.
you.
You're good.
I think 4 slides.
Okay, great.
Wadsworth pedestrian bridge replacement project, including a discussion of the timeline for the demolition of the current bridge and construction of the replacement bridge.
Okay. So this is George Robeson for the record. Go ahead to the next slide. So as you know, we've talked about this a lot. This bridge has been designed, it's, bid out. Now we have the constructor, and we're moving ahead with construction. The key consideration, one key consideration in construction is bridge use during school. So we're going to time this so when the bridge is out of commission, school is out of commission. So you see the three arrows there. Arrow to the left is the school. Arrow to the upper right is a lot of the homes where there are children. And arrow going straight lower is the bridge itself and the route that kids use. Otherwise, they have to go up on that train trestle or on the highway down to the south of there, and that's more dangerous for the children. So anyways, that's what we're doing for the scheduling, and it affects the scheduling. Next slide. And so I just wanted to jump in and just tell you where we're at with the schedule real fast. We're currently in early mobilization. They're starting to mobilize some things out there. They already made a bridge agreement with a bridge constructor, and they're in the design phase right now. They've already done some construction survey. They are also now starting into bridge design, and the bridge manufacture will start in October, and it will be done by June. The bridge will be moved to site later in next summer, right before it's put in place. So the next thing will be is there will be initial site prep activities in September, and I'd like to get us out there for a ceremony in hopefully August, because that would get us out there before they start, breaking ground and starting doing all kinds of stuff out there. The removal of the existing bridge and abutment has to be in June after school's out, and then they'll put the abutments together and put that all out in June, July of 26. The bridge will be delivered and placed in late July, and the decking and everything else will be done the week after that. And then in early August, the whole thing should be done and ready for the next school year. So that's kind of how it lays out. And so what I wanted to say, next slide, please. I don't think there's, the considerations are that I'd like to do a groundbreaking before site prep. Most of the actual construction, most of the big things will be done in June and July of 2026. And everything should be finalized before school starts. Nothing significant that inhibits the bridge will be done until school's out. So that's the idea there. And I would like to do, if you guys are, one thing I wanted from you is some feedback on would you like to do a groundbreaking? Like, for instance, the next meeting, we could meet here at 9, get a tour bus, go out there, do the groundbreaking, and come back here. And that would be most of our, if not all of our meeting for August. Yeah, so it's earlier in the morning, not so hot, that kind of thing. So if that would be something you're interested in, we can arrange that and get that going.
I think it'd be great, Mr. Robeson. So would we have a meeting here and then hop, or we just wouldn't have a meeting itself?
That is to be decided if we find items that we really need to cover. If we don't, if there's something that we can put off, we'll probably put it off. But if it's something we have to do, we may actually have a meeting too. But anyways, the point is that we can get a tour bus here, and maybe have advertise this, have some press out there, that kind of thing. Be able to do interviews about it. Also letting the community know, we'll probably fly the community flyers so that they know about it. So when they see people out there doing things on the bridge, they're not surprised or shocked or, wondering what's going on, that kind of thing. So
Well, maybe they should join us.
well, they will. I mean, we're going to advertise it for them. We'll do flyers to tell them about it. We'll just go out there. Okay. All right. Yeah, we can do that
Count me
too.
in.
We can
Sounds great.
caravan.
My chauffeur will drive me.
Yeah, and if it's just a couple, I mean, we can do it. We have our rigs too, and we actually had them all detailed recently, so they're not disgusting like they were a while back. Anyways, So if that's all right with you, that's what I'd like to do for this.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, and I think it's great for the community out there.
And we'll be inviting tribal leadership as well.
Oh, yeah,
I figured.
yeah.
So, awesome. Any questions or comments on this? Perfect. Then we'll close item 6. Go to item 7, presentation and update on the status of the Rock to McCarran design process, including design alternatives and preliminary elements of the design plan. Possible action to give directions to staff for possible action. Mr. Robeson and Shane Dyer.
There may be public comment on this.
Yes, there is. And well, I'll open it up later. We can do the presentation and then I'll open it up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so just wanted to make sure we didn't miss
No, I
that.
got 'em.
Okay. All right, Rock to McCarran. So this, go ahead, next slide, please. This project is, what we call this, I call this kind of the jewel of the whole big project. I mean, Vista is the foundation. You have to have Vista for the mitigation to work and everything else. But Rock McCarran is kind of the jewel of the project. And why did we start this earlier? We've talked about this before. It's more complex than some of the other designs, such as the airport or Tumwa. And so that's why we're doing it sooner, getting it going sooner than later. And then also, it does have components that could attract grant funding. So that's something I'll be working on at that meeting next week as well. Then there's Rock McCarran is also planned to be connected, obviously, with a park. And so that's generating more interest than the rest of the project combined, but that is the way it is. So that's another reason to get on top of this sooner than later. Next slide, please. So the outline of what I want to just talk about is the outcomes from the May 28th working group, which was really focused on the inner river area, where the meander belt would be, where the river really gets active and that kind of stuff. And then the refinement of the preferred alternative, some of the aspects of that, and then just discuss the schedule forward. We are not going to talk about the park options today because I want to give the stakeholders and the staff and the public a chance to really look at it and comment on it and refine it before we bring it before you. So our next meeting that we have an actual presentation on this, we will be doing outcomes from the July 30th meeting, and we will really be talking about the park, different park options. But we are moving forward. They are moving forward and making a lot of progress on both park options. One's more of a nature park, and one's more like a regional park with several ball fields and other amenities. Next slide, please. So we've talked about why. This is from the actual working group. So you guys know why there's a project need here because of the flooding and everything else. But this was important to remind the public why we're doing this and what's at stake, because I know we get fixated on the park aspect, but we're talking about $2 billion of damage if we don't build this overall project. And this actually is also somewhat unique because it protects from both sides. It protects the Reno industrial area, the airport, and the Sparks industrial area. So it's one of the ones that protects all three. Like the Tumwa project just protects the Sparks industrial area on the west side. And the airport just protects part of the Reno industrial area and the airport. This one does both, all three actually. So it's important because of that as well. And and we also, in our charter, in the rules, in the legislation, in lots of our documents, flood management is our number one goal. Flood mitigation, this project is about flood mitigation, but it's also about ecosystem restoration. That's in our documents, as well as recreational opportunities. So all three of these are being looked at in this particular project because it has an opportunity to work on all three. Next slide, please. So the project benefits obviously are flood, and this is for the, once again, for the working group. I know we've been through a lot of this, but flood risk reduction, it realigns the river, it's levees, not flood walls, terracing, and increased flood storage for capacity that actually takes a little bit off the peak. There's environmental restoration in the river. It's set up to reduce erosion, reduce shear stress and velocities so that we're not attacking something. There's secondary channels that increases both fish and wildlife habitat. There's pools and riffles that provides aquatic habitat. And then there is also the reconnection of the river to the floodplain. So there's just a lot of things that are enhanced on this, as well as the enhanced recreational opportunities. And the key note here that is often missed is because of the GSR project, the Tumwa project, and the airport project, the river will be carrying probably about 8,000 more CFS. That is a 40% increase in flow through this reach. So when people say, well, this didn't get wet, or that got wet, or wow, this was dry over here, throw that all out the window. There's much more water coming through here now because we're trying to keep the water in the river, not out in the airport and the industrial areas. Next slide. Okay, so we have a lot of challenges and considerations here. One of them is, and it's becoming more apparent as we do more work on this, is the space constraints and the river alignment. If we build the levee to the full height that it needs to be along there, everywhere where there's one of those circles, we're going to have to do some sort of easement or some sort of purchase. When we were doing Vista Narrows in places like this, and we were looking at flood walls and levees in the earlier versions that had that in there, half the cost of a levee was just the easements and the purchase stuff. And well over half the opposition to Vista was people that were mad that we were pushing into areas. And so that was, that's something to consider there, and there's 4 of them. And that's a tough one. And that's one of the reasons we decided to push the river south, is because of those 4 areas right there. Let's see, I think we can, well, the other thing too is there has been a strong sentiment within many different communities, both recreation and environmental. Don't do flood walls along the river if you possibly can. And so levees take more space, but what's cool about levees is you can have a trail on the crest of them. And so the river trail is the natural, great views. So we want to have that. And so we're trying to avoid flood walls. Next slide, please. Okay, so this modified preferred alternative is what we showed them in the working group. And we had these areas and we circled and we showed aspects of what we're trying to do. And some of the things that we're trying to do here is, if you look at that slide more carefully, like up around these circles, there's an area of red between the 2 greens there, right in the middle there. That is an existing cottonwood gallery. And so when the river gets big, it will, and it has 8,000 more CFS, it will attack that gallery. So what we're trying to do is split the river around that gallery to preserve that gallery so we don't have high velocities in there. And we preserve those cottonwoods, those mature cottonwoods. So that's one of the features of this. It also spreads out the flow at different flow levels. And I'll show you some slides of this, but when you start to get higher and higher, you want to make sure the velocities and the shear stresses stay low enough that you can use natural bank and bed materials versus, say, concrete or gunite or heavy riprap or something like that. So it largely avoids that in most places that we have to resort to those kind of materials. But these are the kind of things that we're doing, spreading the river out with side channels, alcoves, increasing habitat. There are, in the recreational options that you'll see later, both options, there's trails all around there. There's 3 input points for boats. That's later, but both of them have that, whether it's the nature or the regional park. So we want to optimize everything, the natural aspect as well as the recreational aspects, as well as produce something that's cost effective for flood protection. Because as you spread this river out and do it properly, you make the levees less high, so there's less material and less cost. Next slide, please. So this is at a normal flow, like around 350 CFS. And you can see how this river, in blue, the blue and the green there, that's where there's water. So there's some water, shallow areas for smaller fish, for wildlife, that kind of thing. And the river is pretty well, it's meandering. There's pools and riffles and a lot of habitat in there at this low flow. There, like I said, with both options, there's trails and boat launches on both to utilize this configuration as well. Next slide, please. As the water gets higher, this is a 10-year event, and you can see now how this river really starts to come up. And one thing to look at is that Cottonwood Gallery is still, at this flow at least, dry. And the velocities there, we don't show, but the velocities are still low. So we're not attacking that old growth cottonwood, not old growth, I don't know if I want to use that term, but it's mature cottonwood galleries. And we're keeping that feature in there that is one of the few things that's very redeemable about the whole place. So next slide. And you can see at full flow, everything, this is a 100-year event, 20,000 CFS. And you notice that the whole 20,000 CFS is coming through here now. And you can see there are some places that remain dry in this configuration. But for the most part, the whole area is being taken over by water. And a lot of that is stored water, which lowers the peak flow at the bridge downstream and going into the lower area down there. Next slide. So the other key issue is the hydraulic design of the berm that separates the river area from the recreation area. Yeah, and that's going along there with that arrow that's where it is. And the height of that berm, the height of the floodplain, all of this is being carefully worked out to balance waste and fill and borrow and all that kind of stuff, but also to get the right hydraulics. So there's 2 entry points, for instance, because that's optimizing the way the water comes in and hopefully getting it to a place where the water comes in a way that minimizes debris, because actually the lower part, when it gets full like that at the 100-year, it's actually moving back into the river. So now that debris isn't coming into the area, it's pushing away from it's pushing stuff back into the river so we don't get a bunch of debris all around all our ball fields. So there's a lot that goes into this design with the hydraulics and the geomorphology. Next slide, please. So these are cross sections of this, and a lot of people, there's one person in the crowd, I won't name her name, but she really likes she gave herself up, but she really likes cross sections. So, but they're very useful because you can kind of see this is the upper cross section, and you can see like there's the upper levee, the north levee, then you see a secondary channel, the main channel, how those go deeper. Then there's some terracing. Then there's you can see the berm is not that high. If you go up a little bit, Danielle, on that, and go up and show where the arrow to where the internal berm is. Yeah, right there. So that's not very big, but yet there's a storage area to the right of that, And that's where some park features will be, even in the upper area. Like in one of the designs, there's some nature park facilities. In the other design, there's actually a ball field there. So, and then there's the South Levee. And one of the features you might notice, the South Levee is actually in this iteration. I'm not saying it will always be this way because they're constantly working on this, but it is actually slightly lower than the north. And that's because there's different dynamics as you go across the flow field at the high flows. And so they're looking at that too, to make sure that, you know, with like a very high flow, which we're designing for the 1997 flood with 3 feet of freeboard. We're not just designing for 100-year. I don't want to like have a design for 100-year and then 10 years from now they say, oh no, that's really the 50-year. You know, I wanted to over-design now, and so when they tell me the 100-year is more, we'll go, actually, we are designed for the 100-year. So anyways, it is actually a little bit over-designed. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the middle cross-section, same sort of thing. There's that storage area over here, and that's where a lot of the upper terracing where you can have recreational facilities or you can have nature park facilities, depending on which option is chosen. But that's also a storage area that keeps the flow down during these very high events. The peak flow down a little bit. Next slide, please. And finally, this is the lower one, same sort of thing, upper and lower levees. Now you see, in this case, the south levee looks a little bit higher than the north levee, because it's just, and it will change as they iterate on this. But the point is that now you can see that the berm is actually quite a bit higher. And there's a big area for storage. It's quite a little bathtub right there for water to be stored. And the water is actually moving from right to left across there on that cross section. So it's not building up debris, and that should really help with maintenance after large events. And the other thing is that will not overflow until a 50 or 75-year event. So that keeps it from being affected too often. And it's actually more effective that way during a high flood to only have it initiate when it's really bad. Next slide, please. So the earthwork and site balancing, that's just, we are working on that. I don't want to go into this too much. I want to give some time for the comments. Next slide, please. And the summary and the next steps, we talked about the working group July 30th on recreation. Stakeholder meetings in July as well. And this just shows you how we walk down through this. We're working towards the 30% design. Then we will go to the 60%, which will lead us to permitting and finally construction. So we're working systematically through this, and we're close to being on schedule. We are a little behind, but it is staying pretty well, on schedule, and we are getting through these tasks. There has been a lot of work on the geotechnical as well. A lot of testing has been done on site, and so they're ready to do the 30% design from a geotechnical standpoint. So there's been a lot of progress that's happened over the last month or so. And with that, I think that's it, right? Yes. So I would like to kind of yield this so that people can make public comment.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to ask for questions first from my board members. I know we're going to lose a quorum in about 10 minutes too. You guys leaving. But
Well, I want to hear the
first. Okay. Sounds good. Then we'll open public comment. I know we have two. Mr. Jacob, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we've got 2 public comments, sir. First is Roger Jacobson, followed by James Fewens.
Come on down and have a seat. Green's on, so you're good to go. Just bring it to you probably a little bit.
Again, thank you. Good morning, everyone. We're doing good on time, looks like. I'm Roger Jacobson, as you mentioned earlier. I'm here to make a few comments about this last agenda item. I spent quite a bit of time looking at all the JUB and their team documents, particularly focus on the Appendix F, which was the early one that was used for rating everything. And as people know on these kind of things, there's a lot of subjectiveness in the ratings, but it was pretty interesting when I went through and did some tallying. That was pretty clear by their evaluation that moving the channel didn't really improve the flood control. Moving the channel really didn't improve the geomorphology or the geotechnical parameters, and moving the channel didn't really improve the ecology or the biology by their ratings. Again, somewhat subjective, but just using their numbers, that's what you could certainly see very clearly. There were, however, two, what I noticed, fairly notable downsides if you did move the channel. One was, and again, I worked with their probable cost, and I realized these are preliminary costs, but they're at least a good target. And it was about a $20 million difference between A1 and C1 for moving the channel versus not moving the channel, which is, to me, a fairly big number because it's tax money, and I know you guys are very concerned about how money gets spent on these things. The other one is, of course, it really limited the availability of the land for youth ball fields and for some of the other park activities that might be utilized in the future for people. Clearly showed that, again, the JUB team clearly showed that the large ball field complex, in other words, the flat fields that people use, will bring millions of dollars into the community because over time, these large ball fields with complexes of 20-plus fields or more can really bring a lot of millions of dollars into a community, which I think is a plus. The other thing, of course, noted was that by the parks people several times that there's at least a 50 ball field deficiency right now. So any numbers that we can add to that is a big plus for them. And of course, as the area is growing, we're also going to see more and more need. At least all the projections say that Reno-Sparks area is going to keep getting larger and larger over time. Again, moving the channel that somewhat bisects the existing land that's there, which is primarily used for farming and ranching. And at the same time, the area, if you move it, we've had, as all of you know, continual issues with homeless camps, and leaving any area that is not utilized by the public can certainly be a homeless camp issue, and a lot of us see that on a fairly regular basis.
Roger, I think those are 3 minutes. If you could just wrap it up, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I didn't know, I was looking for a time. I didn't see it.
You're good. You're good. Sorry.
Okay, so again, the funds available are limited, and hopefully we can use those the best we can. The last thing I'm basically going to say that the hope is that the board would leave their options open as far as doing any kind of development in this area. And thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next public commenter is Mr. James Fewens. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you guys for hearing me. James Few in City of Spark, or live in the City of Spark. I'm here as a representative of High Sierra Lacrosse League, which just got sanctioned last by the NIAA for the 26-27 season. And High Sierra Lacrosse is our organization that deals with the youth and at the high school level. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the United States, and our big problem is flat fields. So as you look at the development of this area, I am dealing with the fun stuff, the park and the recreation. As things come in front of you, I would just ask for consideration for football, soccer, lacrosse, to have as many flat fields as possible for our kids. And also the High Sierra Lacrosse also has a foundation, and I've been instructed to say they will be open for talks for possible revenue partnerships for this project. So many flat fields as possible for our kids. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Fewens. Anyone else for public comment? I don't see.
We actually do have a few public on Zoom.
Perfect.
Okay, I will go with Valerie Anderson first, and then Kathy Schmidt.
Good.
Okay. Hi, I'm Valerie. Yeah, I'm, excited about this project and, excited about the riparian and fish and wildlife habitat part of that, and especially the importance of just having natural areas as opposed to built environments. I know we really need sport fields, and I'm hoping that Pembroke will really help with that situation. And I'm just thinking that we have so few really wild areas left on the river that, to actually have a place where wildlife can live and where people can, get in tune with nature and serve that function. I love the bicycling, hiking, bird watching. There's been all kinds of species, the bats. And, if anything, if you could minimize the number of sports fields, because the impact on the environment with hard surfaces, the pesticides, herbicides, all of the things that come with, hard pavement and stuff, doesn't seem to be that conducive to a park and natural environment. So I'm looking forward to the July 30th meeting. And, I know there are many people that feel the same way with the Audubon group. Okay, so please consider that. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie.
And our next public commenter is Kathy Schmidt.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to echo Valerie's comments. We took a group down there bike riding the other day to bike and bird and look at the bridge and the bats. And what I would wonder is there a possibility for a tour like of the whole area? You can ride the north side or you can walk the north side. There doesn't seem to be good access to the south section of that property, but just to have an idea of like what the Cottonwood Grove looks like, where the north side would need to be expanded. It would be really helpful to, I think, have boots on the ground. The other thing is, I want to echo that sentiment that our river land is so limited in that 18-mile section from Bird Eye to Vista Narrows. If we develop all of that, we have lost a resource we cannot get back. So I appreciate so much the thought that is going into this design. And I really am trying to get more public word out there about this, because this is one of the last parcels really that's natural through that 18-mile section. And we have a real opportunity here to do maybe not just one thing. It doesn't seem to me that it has to be recreation or nature. How do you best balance those pieces on a parcel this size? So I just appreciate all the work that's going into this, and I appreciate the time to comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Anyone else?
No further comments.
Perfect. I'll bring it back to us. I think Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I guess to the public commenters' point earlier about moving the river and we've received a lot of materials from Mr. Jacobson as well. And not being an engineer and understanding that some of this is subjective, and certainly wanting to, if we don't have to spend $20 million to move the river, I mean, we obviously wouldn't want to, but hearing from you earlier on those north points, those 3 north points, that's really where some of the pain points are coming in as far as flooding are concerned, and where that recommendation is coming from. And so that's kind of my question. And then I have just for further clarification, today we're really just talking about the alignment of the river. We're not talking about recreation or natural amenities necessarily. That will be a future conversation by the board, correct?
Correct. And I just want to make sure that, I mean, maybe Mr. Jacobson found a different report than I read, because I didn't see no ecological gain between one and the other. I saw a big ecological gain with moving the river. And the fact that we can protect that gallery of Cottonwood and keep that natural is a big gain beyond what the other problem is with the access issue on the north side, like trying to get easements. It is not $20 million different. It is very similar because, once again, one of the things I emphasized was we have 8,000 more CFS going through there. The way that river's going to tear through there is going to be very different, and we have to spread that river out whether we keep it in place or not. So, you know, if we keep it in place, the levees will be attacked by 8,000 more CFS on the north end. So we would have to really be careful about that, and lots, you know, how do we fortify those things? That has not all been worked out if we went that way. So it's not 20 million, and it's not, I doubt it's even 5 million. So I just want to make sure that, you know, different people, when you read an engineering report, can get different interpretations, but a lot of this actually isn't that subjective. It's actually fairly well known, and these are the things that have to do with that. We also have the JUB, the author of the report, sitting right there. He may have some comments.
Yeah, thank you, Shane Dyer, for the record. Yeah, I think there's a lot of nuance that goes into those reports. I think one of the factors that was not taken into consideration is the purchase price of the private property if we leave the river in its current place. We would either have to do.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Do I need to know? We would either have to do flood walls against the city of Sparks, or we'd have to purchase. That's a non-starter. Or we'd have to purchase the properties. And so that's not in the report. So purchasing all those properties would likely be more than $20 million just to purchase them. And then another I'll throw out kind of this concept. This alternative of keeping the river where it is probably the easy button. But the current river is very degraded. You know, it's incised, and there's issues with the fish habitat and the riparian habitat. And so when you're talking about what has the best overall benefit, we start to do these calculations with the geomorphology. We create the width of a meander belt, which is 600 to 800 feet wide. And then we start to create this natural river. If we keep the river where it is, we don't have the ability to do that in the same way. Is it harder to move it? It absolutely is. Is it better to move it from an ecological and overall standpoint of let's make this river the jewel of the river? Yes, it's better to move it. If we keep it where it is, it stays more degraded. It could potentially be cheaper, but then we have private property issues along that north side, potentially flood walls. So when you start to lay it out like that, it becomes a little more clear why the recommendation and why TURFMA is kind of pushing away from keeping the river as it is and improving it, moving it out, and creating that riparian corridor.
Ms. Hill?
That's very for me, and I appreciate both.
Thanks, Mr. Dyer. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Dewar.
Yeah, thank you. I have just a few questions and comments. First of all, I've been with this project a long time, and restoration has been a very important aspect of the project. That is why we restored 4 areas downstream. And then 5th was done by Nature Conservancy on its own, McCarran Ranch. So we're obviously committed to restoring the functioning of the river. Where I get a little confused or questions pop up is as we move upstream from those areas, so from Vista, when you look at UNR Farm, it looks like that part of the river is going to remain incised, degraded as the words were used. Is that correct? This is maybe
you were asking me to project the future of the river.
No, but I mean, there's no proposal anywhere to restore anything along UNR Farm. So I'm just trying to understand if that section of the river, so we have a restored section downstream, and then we have like a hardened area that's got to be incised along UNR Farm that we're not planning levees. I'm just saying, are we planning anything there today?
No, but there is the North Bank levee all along there. And
Okay.
there will be a study on that as well in the
Okay.
future.
All right, and then my other question was, to my knowledge, we had a lot of fish passage in this project and it was all taken out. Like these were features that would help fish come up from Pyramid Lake all the way up to this area, but to my knowledge, those were taken out. And I guess my question is, were they taken out? Is there anything, in other words, let's say we create a beautiful area for fish. I guess I would wonder what kind of fish are they? They're not going to be Lahontan cutthroat trout, I imagine, or huiwi. Is that right? I'm just asking because the comment has been made that we would be doing restoration for the ecosystem and fish were mentioned, and I just was trying to understand that.
I'm going to let Shane talk about that because they just did a big environmental inventory on that. But just to preface that, there is a concern at Derby Dam that because of the mix of introduced trout and other species, that it might not be smart to put the cutthroat trout upstream of Derby Dam right now. So that's being thought through and thought about. They recently did what's called a flat screen for the canal off to Lahontan. So it kind of opens that up as a question, but they have not let the Lahontan cutthroat in. But if they do, there's nothing blocking the Lahontan cutthroat from getting to the site. Kiwi typically stay lower though, but go ahead.
Yeah, so the design heavily takes into account fish habitat with the new design that we've put together, the one that was shown here today. In the design, there's a whole new pool and ripple sequence that we're putting forward, and then there's going to be significant rearing habitat. There's 2 specific backwater channels for rearing, and so if we're really looking at all those, the environmental team is really looking into all the fish considerations, additional shading, no stranding in the design. So fish are a major portion of the redesign in the project.
So is it fish that are already here? What
Yeah.
are we talking?
It'll be good for all species
Gotcha.
of fish. Habitat will
Okay.
work for all species of fish.
All right. Well, I know apparently we're on some kind of a time crunch. So what I just wanted to say is like, as an individual on this board, I'm very committed to restoration. I've also been committed to the recreation, all types in this area, whether it's nature walks or developed sports fields. What I wanted to understand though is what we were creating, and in other words, upstream where we did the colony project, Marina Sparks Indian Colony project, we didn't look at restoration. What we did do was create a levee and a flood wall, but we put in a nature walk, but we didn't do any river restoration. And I just wondered how far upstream we can go. And I guess what I would like to see before we make a decision is I want to make sure. There was a lot of speculation about cost today. It would be 5 million, it would be 20 million, it would be this, it would be that. I really think we owe it to people, especially the people that want to maximize this for recreation, to understand what the actual costs were. And if that hasn't been calculated of Roger Jacobson's design or proposal, then I would be much more comfortable with some harder numbers, at least some numbers that we are agreeing on, whether they're hard or soft, just approximate numbers. And I think that there's a middle ground here where we can have nature recreation, sports field, and a nice restored river. I totally understand what Mr. Dyer was saying earlier about the cost to acquire land on the North Bank. That needs to be factored in, absolutely. And I just want to make sure we're doing apples to apples. And the other issue I'm worried about is that we do have a series of meetings planned, July 30 and perhaps one sooner or one after. I'd love to hear what the public's saying and get that input before we make any more final decisions. I think we have to hear from the public now that they're starting to understand what the proposals are. It sometimes takes a few shots to understand what's being proposed, how it would affect things, how it would lay out, what are the opportunities. And so that's just my thought for today. I understand we're talking about a field trip in August meeting, but I guess the questions that I have, being a restoration advocate myself, at the same time, I've been a recreation advocate. I just want a little bit more data from our publics and from our consultants on what, before we further refine the alternatives. So that's where I am today.
Yeah, Mr. Martinez.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just curious. I know we had spoken about this item, I think in March, in our March meeting. Did we agree on alternates at that point, or are all the alternates still on the table? And then just curious, kind of, if you can give us an up to date where we are at right now, what you're asking from us, because it sounds like from, Director Hill, there was some questions about what is actually being asked of us on this item, and it seems pretty open. The recreation's off the table from what I understand, but if you can just go into more detail on that, please.
We chose to refine the preferred alternative, which was a series of statements. It wasn't like we had it all laid out for you as the preferred alternative. We had the preferred alternative will do this, do this, do this, do this, okay? So they've been refining that. In order to get accurate costs, we have to do the geotechnical. We have to do more work on the balancing of the dirt. We have to do more work on the hydraulics to figure out exactly how high these things need to be, exactly the spacing of everything, and how much earthwork we got to do, and what kind of plantings and things like that. Like if we preserve those cottonwoods, our planting costs go way down, for instance, and we didn't even factor that in yet. So there's lots of things. The only way to get at the costs is to actually refine. As the design gets better, you get a better idea of cost, and you can also spin off and go, well, if we didn't move it, then we wouldn't, then you would have to buy, or you'd have to get an easement here, 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 and here. Now, the one easement, the one property buy of 2 acres over there on the south side is in the order of $6 to $7 million cost. That's just for 2 acres on the south side in a heavily flood-prone place. So you can imagine what that would look like on the north side. Okay, so that you can start getting some ideas, but as we refine this, we will get more ideas about cost. And that's how it works with the engineering. Like, it's just like on Riverside, we're getting better ideas of cost as these designs get more refined.
But to Mr. Martinez's point, you need us to say yay or nay on this today in order to have that meeting in July with the public? No.
It's informational.
This is okay, because I was confused by the what is it? The recommendation.
I was.
Yeah. So you just are saying we'd like to move, or you need our input. Should you move forward with this alternative?
We did that already.
Yeah.
We did move. Well, that was that was in May. We did move forward, refining the preferred alternative. That's what we've been doing. This meeting, the meeting in July is specifically about recreation, and it will allow us to look at the 2 options. And the regional park option has a lot of nature in it. Both of them do. One has more than the other, but they both have a lot of it in it. So this balanced idea might be the regional park the way it's configured. But we want to get that in front of our stakeholders, and like Councilperson Durr said, get this in front of the public and get their input to us, because at the working group meeting, there is ample time for comments. Plus, we will be setting up a email for them to email in more comments. So by the next time we get together on this and talk about it, we will have significant public input on this from all sides. And you can see there's different sides to this from the public, and we're hearing it from all sides.
But so you're saying we've moved on already from Mr. Jacobson's concern, because the board has given you direction. Sorry, all these meetings together for us, but the board is giving you direction to move forward with this already. So you're moving forward with this. There is no, like, Member Dewar was saying, finding out the costs and of Mr. Jacobson's concern.
We can, you know, we can get a better idea of those costs as we refine this and find out maybe we made a mistake and we got to go back. But I don't think that's going to happen because this isn't really that, some of this really isn't that subjective.
Right, but
That's
you're-
one of the
what are you
things I
wanting
want to
from us
emphasize.
today?
I was just giving you an informational report today. And if you review the minutes, there was kind of a vote on to move forward with the alternative design, the preferred alternative. So that happened in May, and we are working on that. There will be, the vote that will be coming to you is, how do we approach recreation? Like, the current design has 11 ball fields. I mean, the one that has ball fields. It isn't like there's nothing there. And it does have actually nature in it too. And then there's a full-on nature park option. So that's going to come before you to decide, but we want to get more input from the public and we want to refine that more before we bring it before you.
Mr. Martinez.
Just to maybe put a pin in it for me, when we're talking about preferred alternatives that we're moving forward with, is that B1, C1, A? Which map are we specifically looking at?
It was most similar to, I believe, C1, but it had elements of C2 and B1 and B2 in it. Because we decided that there were aspects of B and C that were better. And we also wanted to keep the berm, but not be a levee. So there were several statements made about what the preferred alternative would consist of. And that's what they are refining right now. And that was in that report, and that's what we voted on in May.
Perfect. Mr. Do you have any other questions or anything? We're losing.
Yeah.
Couple
Okay,
bodies. You
well,
can keep it quick.
I don't know what the vote is here. I mean, it says possible
There is-
action. We've just been assured that it
There's
was
some
more
we
for
still need
information.
to-
Yeah,
It said information.
yeah. It said for possible action, but I'm glad to hear
It's just for direction from staff. If there was, had been some sort of specific direction, one, we can just take that as advisory and go forward with it. We just put that in there as a, just in case if
Okay.
the board decided to make an
Okay,
adjustment.
well, I would like to make a recommendation. This is just something, I don't know that we have to vote on it, but I think it would be good to kind of get the cost nailed down for what Dr. Jacobson is recommending so that we could at least have apples and apples and not speculate as much. I do like the direction you're going, George. I did think when we voted, because I was most concerned, was that we were going to keep our options open as we got this public input. And I don't want to foreclose. I mean, I guess one option is 20 fields, leave the river where it is and maximize everything. And
Yeah,
I don't know
that
that was
particular
any-
option would never get permitted, by the way.
Right.
So,
I was
I mean,
gonna
let's
say, I didn't
stay in
see-
reality land here.
Right. I'm saying I didn't see that as one of the options. So anyway, I'm just suggesting that we get a little more data on the cost of Dr. Jacobson's ideas. We obviously will wait to hear what we hear from the public because like you said, I want to refresh you. I know most weren't here when we did the Virginia Street Bridge, but I will just share with you, it was probably one of the most contentious items. There were people that just wanted to leave the bridge as it was, like i.e. leave the river as it was. And I will tell you, we looked at every option. We probably explored 8, 9, 10 options that we costed or we hear from all the public. So it sounds like that's your plan, George. And, I just want to make sure that when we get to decision day, that we do have as much cost information and other information as possible. And it's not just a sheer vote, like the soccer people bring 200 people and the restoration people bring 20 people. I don't know that it's that, but we do want to hear from the public about what their desires are. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. I think we're good to go on this one so far.
Yeah.
We're on a
Yes,
quorum,
and we've
so-
lost our quorum as well, just as
Yeah.
by note. So, yes, I think we have some good direction and we'll discuss that
Roger
and
that.
respond. Thank you.
We'll go to item 8, public comment. Do we have anyone in the room or online?
We have no further.
Okay. Item 9, board member comments, requests, and future agenda items. Is there anyone that has anything? Cool, then we will adjourn at 10:53. Happy Friday.